Section number 7, Batard, of the Faith of Men. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Robert Scott. Batard by Jack London. Batard was a devil. This was recognized throughout the Northland. Hell's spawn, he was called by many men. But his master, Black Leclerc, chose for him the shameful name Batard. Now Black Leclerc was also a devil, and the twain were well matched. There is a saying that when two devils come together, hell is to pay. This is to be expected, and this certainly was to be expected when Batard and Black Leclerc came together. The first time they met, Batard was a part-grown puppy, lean and hungry, with bitter eyes, and they met with snap and snarl, and wicked looks. For Leclerc's upper lip had a wolfish way of lifting and showing the white, cruel teeth, and it lifted then, and his eyes gleamed viciously as he reached for Batard and dragged him out from the squirming litter. It was certain that they divined each other, for on the instant Batard had buried his puppy fangs in Leclerc's hand, and Leclerc, thumb and finger, was coolly choking his young life out of him. "Sacre dame," the Frenchman said softly, flirting the quick blood from his bitten hand and gazing down on the little puppy, choking and gasping in the snow. Leclerc turned to John Hamlin, storekeeper of the 60-mile post. "Dat foe, what I like 'em, I'll mock. I buy 'em. Now, I buy 'em queek." And because he hated him with an exceeding bitter hate, Leclerc bought Batard and gave him his shameful name. And for 5 years the twain adventured across the Northland, from St. Michael's and the Yukon Delta to the head reaches of the Pelly, and even so far as the Peace River, Athabasca, and Great Slave. And they acquired a reputation for uncompromising wickedness, the like of which never before attached itself to man and dog. Batard did not know his father, hence his name, but, as John Hamlin knew, his father was a great gray timber wolf. But the mother of Batard, as he dimly remembered her, was snarling, bickering, obscene, husky, full-fronted, and heavy-chested, with a malign eye, a cat-like grip on life, and a genius for trickery and evil. There was neither faith nor trust in her. Her treachery alone could be relied upon, and her wildwood amours attested her general depravity. Much of evil and much of strength were there in these, Batard's progenitors, and, bone and flesh of their bone and flesh, he had inherited it all. And then came Black Leclerc to lay his heavy hand on the bit of pulsating puppy life, to press and prod and mold till it became a big, bristling beast, acute in knavery, overspilling with hate, sinister, malignant, diabolical. With a proper master, Batard may have made an ordinary, fairly efficient sled dog. He never got the chance. Leclerc but confirmed him in his congenital iniquity. The history of Batard and Leclerc is a history of war, of 5 cruel, relentless years, of which their first meeting is fit summary. To begin with, it was Leclerc's fault, for he hated with understanding and intelligence, while the long-legged, ungainly puppy hated only blindly, instinctively, without reason or method. At first, there were no refinements of cruelty. These were to come later, but simple beatings and crude brutalities. In one of these, Batard had an ear injured. He never regained control of the riven muscles, and ever after the ear drooped limply down to keep keen the memory of his tormentor. And he never forgot. His puppyhood was a period of foolish rebellion. He was always worsted, but he fought back because it was his nature to fight back. And he was unconquerable. Yelping shrilly from the pain of lash and club, he none the less contrived always to throw in the defiant snarl, the bitter vindictive menace of his soul, which fetched without fail more blows and beatings. But his was his mother's tenacious grip on life. Nothing could kill him. He flourished under misfortune, grew fat with famine, and out of his terrible struggle for life developed a preternatural intelligence. His were the stealth and cunning of the husky, his mother, and the fierceness and valor of the wolf, his father. Possibly it was because of his father that he never wailed. His puppy yelps passed with his lanky legs, so that he became grim and taciturn, quick to strike, slow to warn. He answered curse with snarl and blow with snap, grinning the while his implacable hatred. But never again, under the extremest agony, did Leclerc bring from him the cry of fear nor of pain. This unconquerableness but fanned Leclerc's wrath and stirred him to great deviltries. Did Leclerc give Batard half a fish, and to his mates whole ones? Batard went forth to rob other dogs of their fish. Also he robbed caches, and expressed himself in 1,000 rogueries, till he became a terror to all dogs and masters of dogs. Did Leclerc beat Batard and fondle Babette? Babette, who was not half the worker he was? Why, Batard threw her down in the snow and broke her hind leg with his heavy jaws, so that Leclerc was forced to shoot her. Likewise, in bloody battles, Batard mastered all his teammates, set them the law of the trail and forage, and made them live to the law he set. In 5 years he heard but one kind word, received but one soft stroke of a hand, and then he did not know what manner of things they were. He leaped like the untamed thing he was, and his jaws were together in a flash. It was the missionary at sunrise, a newcomer in the country, who spoke the kind word and gave the soft stroke of the hand, and for 6 months after he wrote no letters home to the States, and the surgeon at McQuestion traveled 200 miles on the ice to save him from blood poisoning. Men and dogs looked askance at Batard when he drifted into their camps and posts. The men greeted him with feet threateningly lifted for the kick, the dogs with bristling manes and bared fangs. Once a man did kick Batard, and Batard, with quick wolf snap, closed his jaws like a steel trap on the man's calf and crunched down to the bone, whereat the man was determined to have his life. Only black Leclerc, with ominous eyes and naked hunting knife, stepped in between. The killing of Batard, ah, sacre dame! That was a pleasure Leclerc reserved for himself. Some day it would happen, or else, bah, who was to know? Anyway, the problem would be solved. For they had become problems to each other. The very breath each drew was a challenge and a menace to the other. Their hate bound them together as love could never bind. Leclerc was bent on coming of the day when Batard should wilt in spirit and cringe and whimper at his feet. And Batard, Leclerc knew what was in Batard's mind, and more than once had read it in Batard's eyes. And so clearly he had read that when Batard was at his back, He made it a point